Welcome to Verify This, the show that answers your questions and separates fact from fiction, so you can determine whether viral claims online are true or false. I'm your host, Brandon Lewis. We are dedicating today's show to answering your questions about the White House's student loan forgiveness plan, including, what do you have to do to have eligible loans forgiven? How do you know if you have a Pell Grant? Will the government forgive Parent Plus loans too? How much is this debt forgiveness going to cost the average taxpayer? And will you have to pay income tax on the forgiven debt? We know you have a lot of questions about this topic, and we want to hear from you. So as we go along, tag us on your favorite social media app at Verify This, or sign up for our daily Fast Facts, and then text with us at 202-410-8808. First, let's start with the basics. Casey Decker explains how the forgiveness plan will work, who qualifies, and whether you need to actually do anything to get your student loan forgiven.
President Biden just announced a plan to wipe out a chunk of student debt for millions of Americans. Broadly speaking, people making under $125,000 a year can get $10,000 in student loans forgiven. But a big question that we've gotten from several Verify viewers: do I have to do anything to get my loans forgiven, or will this happen automatically? Well, the Department of Education says it'll be automatic for about 8 million people whose income data the agency already has on file. That's most likely to be the case if you're already on a repayment plan that's based on your income, since the department already has your info to make those calculations. For everyone else, there'll be an online tool where you can input your financial information. Not sure if you fall in that 8 million, that same tool can help you figure it out. So when will it be available? All we know right now is the department says, quote, in the coming weeks, and definitely before the end of the year. But you can get notified when it goes live by signing up at ed.gov/subscriptions. In the meantime, all federal student loan payments remain on pause through the end of 2022. And that eventually loan servicers like Nelnet will update your balance to reflect the canceled debt. One more thing, this only applies to federal student loans, meaning if you have private loans, those aren't forgiven at all. With your Fast Fact, I'm Casey Decker.
We also answered your questions about the qualifications on our TikTok, like this one, where Adian Daytel answers 9 common questions about the student loan forgiveness program lightning quick. To see the full video, just go to the app and search Verify This. Then click the follow button so you can stay on top of all of our latest fact checks. The president's plan forgives up to $20,000 from those who received Pell Grants. For those of us who haven't been in the classroom for a bit, it can be hard to remember what type of loan we received. So Adian explains how to determine whether you received a Pell Grant.
Roughly 27 million people with student loans will be eligible to receive up to $20,000 from President Biden's student loan relief plan, while other federal student loan borrowers are eligible for $10,000 in forgiveness. That's because 27 million people got Pell Grants, which are need-based federal grants that don't need to be repaid. Most Pell Grant awards are for a few $1,000s, which is often not enough to cover college costs, so those students tend to take out student loans. The relief in Biden's plan gives borrowers who received a Pell Grant forgiveness for up to $20,000 for those loans. Since Biden's announcement, so many viewers have reached out to ask if there's a way to check if they received a Pell Grant. And there is. Using these sources, let me show you how. StudentAid.gov is the federal student aid website run by the U.S. Department of Education. Once logged in, student borrowers can check the aid summary page for their entire federal student aid history, including their Pell Grant history. Jessica Thompson, Vice President of the Institute for College Access and Success, says you shouldn't need to prove you've ever received a Pell Grant to the Department of Education.
They should be able to identify and certainly have the data to know who has ever been dispersed, had a Pell Grant dispersed for them.
However, you may need to certify your income to get loan forgiveness in general. That's because people have to make less than $125,000 a year or $250,000 if they're married in order to qualify for relief under Biden's plan. The Biden administration is launching an online tool where people can certify their income. To learn more about that, visit verifythis.com. With your Verify, I'm Adian Daytel.
We answered more of your questions about the student loan forgiveness program on our website. Just go to verifythis.com and search for student loans to find our fact checks and all of our stories on this developing topic. While there's a big focus on students who borrowed money for education, we've received a lot of questions from parents about whether the Parent Plus loans that they took out to help pay for their child's college actually qualify for relief too. Adian Daytel has the answer for all the parents out there.
Many Verified readers have asked us if their loans are eligible for forgiveness, including those who took out Parent Plus loans, also called Direct Plus loans. They're federal loans that parents can use to help pay for their child's college. So we're going to tackle some of your most common questions using these sources. Do Parent Plus loans qualify for debt forgiveness? Yes, if they're held by the Department of Education. To check if your loan is eligible, sign into your studentaid.gov account or check with your loan servicer. Are parents and students considered separate borrowers? Yes, parents with Direct Plus loans and students with their own loans are each eligible for debt forgiveness. Jessica Thompson, Vice President at the Institute for College Access and Success, explained that Parent Plus loan borrowers would qualify for forgiveness based on their own income and loan, while their children would separately qualify based on the same factors. Are spouses considered separate borrowers? Thompson says yes, adding that if the household qualifies by income, each spouse holding qualified loans would be eligible for cancellation. We have more answers to your student loan questions on our website, verifythis.com. With your Verify, I'm Adiante Till.
It's time for this week's Did You Know, where we feature one relatively unknown, interesting fact that we, of course, verified. Did you know Washington, D.C. residents have the highest average student loan debt in the nation? At more than $61,000, Experian says it's significantly higher than second place Maryland, where residents have $47,000 in student debt. If you'd like that Did You Know, sign up for our daily newsletter. It has a new Did You Know every day, as well as 3 fast facts and more of our most recent stories. To sign up, go to verifythis.com/email. The Biden administration estimates 43 million Americans are eligible to have some of their student loans forgiven. But at what cost? We looked into one viral claim that the program will cost taxpayers more than $2,000 each. After President Joe Biden announced his plan to forgive up to $20,000 in federal student loans, many of you began asking us how much the plan is going to cost. Early estimates calculated the government will have to pay about $330 billion. This prompted Senator Ted Cruz to say in a statement opposing Biden's plan that this will cost every taxpayer an average of $2,100. Several Verify viewers then reached out to ask if the plan will raise their taxes by that amount. So let's verify. Will the average taxpayer have to pay $2,100 to cover the cost of the student loan forgiveness program? Our sources are the White House, the Internal Revenue Service Tax Code, Senator Ted Cruz's office, and Andrew Lautz with the nonpartisan National Taxpayers Union Foundation. Cruz's office tells Verify they got that 2,100 number from the National Taxpayers Union Foundation and sent us a link to a blog post written by Lautz. He wrote that if one were to divide an early program estimate of $330 billion by the number of Americans who pay taxes, then the average taxpayer would hypothetically be on the hook for almost $2,100. But that's neither how taxes work nor how the debt forgiveness plan would necessarily be funded, and Lautz acknowledged this in his post. First, taxes in the U.S. are based on a percentage of your income, meaning everyone pays a different dollar figure. Second, since Biden is forgiving the loans using an executive order, he can't raise taxes to pay for his plan. Only Congress can do that.
There are no taxes going up to pay for this policy. But what we do think is important for taxpayers to know is that we all bear the cost of these policies. And so, whether it's through decreased spending in the future, increased taxes, or increased borrowing, taxpayers will ultimately be on the hook for covering the cost of this policy.
So, no, the average taxpayer will not have to pay $2,100 to cover the cost of the student loan forgiveness program. This show works best when we hear from you, and we especially love it when you send us a video of yourself asking a question. So if you see something going viral on your feed and want to know if it's true, just record yourself asking the question and then text it to us at 202-410-8808. You could be featured in next week's show, like Laura Lee, who wants to know whether people who have their loans forgiven will have to pay income tax on the money that goes towards their loans. President Joe Biden estimates 43 million Americans will get at least some of their student loans forgiven. His plan forgives up to $20,000, but Verify viewer Laura Lee wants to know if that money will get taxed and sent us this question.
This is not forgiveness if you lose part of your income due to taxation of the forgiven loans. Do you have any information regarding Oregon's plans? Thank you.
So, Laura Lee, let's verify. Will people who receive student loan forgiveness have to pay federal or state taxes on that money? Our sources are the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, the White House, the Tax Foundation, the Oregon Department of Revenue, and Andrew Lautz with the National Taxpayers Union Foundation. To answer this question, we have to go back a year before the president's announcement. In March 2021, Congress passed the American Rescue Plan Act. This was part of a COVID-19 relief package and stipulated that any debt forgiven between December 2020 and January 2026 does not count as income. Lautz tells Verify this includes student debt announced by Biden. So, no, people who receive student loan forgiveness won't have to pay federal taxes on that money. As for state taxes, it depends on where you live. If your state has an income tax, then it can decide whether to tax forgiven debt as income. Laura Lee is in Oregon, and the state's Department of Revenue told us it won't tax forgiven debt. While not every state has decided what to do, no states have announced so far that they will tax the forgiveness. We have time for one last Did You Know before we go. We talked a lot about people with student loans who already graduated from college, but did you know some current students are also eligible to have their loans forgiven? The plan only applies to loans taken out before July of this year. Current students also must meet the same income requirements as those who graduated. If the students are still considered dependents, then the government will consider their parents' income. On behalf of our entire Verify team, I hope you enjoyed our show and learned something new today. I'm your host, Brandon Lewis. If you're craving even more fact checks, head on over to the Verify This YouTube page. That's where you can find bingeable fast facts, extended interviews with our experts, and lots of fact checks. While you're there, make sure to hit that subscribe button. As always, if there's something else you want us to verify, just sign up for our free daily fast facts by texting Verify to 202-410-8808. Once you're signed up, you can text us your claims or questions using the same number. If you send your question to us as a video, you could end up on the show. Our number is still on your screen, so lock us in and we'll see you back here next week with answers to more of your questions verified. For more episodes of Verify This, go to our video on demand. Click on shows at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Verify This, plus other shows on demand.